Welcome back to another edition of the Endzone Club, where it's your boy Anthony Mitchell coming at you guys live with another edition of the Endzone Club. However, today I kind of wanted to shift gears and really reach deep down and get some big guns with me to have a special conversation, not only just geared at athletes, but for the young men who are falling through the cracks. Today, my special guest is none other than Ralph Dallas Jr., who I'm going to allow a little time to introduce himself and tell you guys what qualifies him to be on this stage. How you doing, Ralph?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing good. How are you? How are you, Brother Anthony?
I'm good. Well, Ralph, for those who are just now being exposed to you for the first time, why don't you introduce yourself to the crowd?
Okay, no problem. I appreciate, first I want to say I thank you for the platform. It's always a pleasure to reach out, to the community and speak a little bit about what it is that, you're doing. But me, myself, I've been around for a while in the music industry. My name is Ralph Dallas. They call me Lone the Largest. And since 2001, I've been touring circles, working with artists such as the likes of DJ Marley Marl, done a project with Swiss Beats. I've had the opportunity to be in the studio and work with artists like Craig G, Jojo Pellegrino, be in different circles and different radio stations in the New York circuit and throughout Connecticut. And also, having the opportunity and the blessing to travel across the country and do something it is that I love to do, which is create music. And back in early 03, 04, and 05, I was doing a lot of music in New York, up in Sony Red Room or up in Unique Recording Studios or Marley's House of Hits. And that was the time I really had a chance to hone a lot of my skills professionally in terms of the music and meet a lot of people that were instrumental in helping develop my career there. Aside from that, today I'm an executive. I'm in ad tech, and I work for a very large corporation, and we specialize in ad technology. Been doing that now for about 8 years. But besides that, I've had a chance to see both aspects, I think, of opportunity, in terms of the streets, music, and now professionally, corporate America. So I think it's a good place to be in terms of being on a platform like this to be able to share a story.
Awesome. Well, one thing I've been blessed with, I've had a front row seat to your whole career. And I remember you kind of dropped a time date that I want to go back to, which was like the year 2002. I remember coming into the city of New York over the Manhattan Bridge, and Jay-Z is playing on the radio. But immediately thereafter, I hear a song blazing on New York's hottest radio station with you and A-Marie. Kind of tell me, like, one of your biggest or your most fondest memories as an artist.
Wow, there's definitely a lot of them. Even before really getting into music professionally, I think a lot of the things in the beginning stages, things that you do as artists to kind of nurture your craft in the beginning, just learning how to have the proper cadence, learning how to write 3/16s and to know what, bars are and to know where hooks go or bridges may go, and to know how to actually record in a studio and, have the proper wind and be able to have the proper delivery, in terms of emphasizing your words in studio sessions and things like that when you're creating songs, things like that, to me are very important. But, in terms of being out there in the showbiz, having interacted with artists of all lights, I think one of the most memorable times that I've had was traveling to Las Vegas, for example, when we toured and we did the Cool Out conference for the technicians. And the technicians was a pretty big DJ circuit, or they are a pretty big DJ circuit. And they had a venue in Vegas at the Stratosphere. So it was the first time I was able to stay there and go up the top to the restaurant that circles the top of the building and rotates very slowly, and the elevation is crazy. But going out to Las Vegas for the first time was a pretty eye opening experience to see how different communities, should I say, live, out there, and to see what kind of opportunities that there were in other places, such as Las Vegas, was a pretty good experience. I would say it's one of the most memorable things that I was able to do as an artist, travel. Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm a fond believer in is that everybody that's had a story of success, we see the highs. However, one thing I think a lot of young men who are impressionable look up to rappers, kind of almost in a sense where whatever you guys are doing, whatever you're rapping about, they emulate it. Let's dig down a little deeper, though, and talk about some of the things that you've experienced behind the curtains, like some things you've experienced that led you to that point of your subject content.
Yeah, that's a great question because I think today um, the state of music is different. It's much more commercialized. I think that a lot of things that some of these artists may talk about or may profess, they may not necessarily have lived that or actually lived that, but they create an image and fake it until they make it. And you have technology, you have photoshopping, you have all kind of digital tools and audio effects that can help you become a tough guy or something like that online. And then they talk about it in music. But, I think a lot of times the difference between somebody like myself and those kind of artists is that I did come up in an era where, they were still selling back on the streets and, there were still projects out there and, there were still gangs, on the street and a lot of things that a youth could easily gravitate towards, especially if you don't have a solid direction and foundation in your life. So I think with me, having those experiences definitely make me a different kind of artist because I can speak from a point of experience, not that it's something that you want to profess and
Correct.
and be proud about. However, there are facts, right? And there are things that you did go through. So you're just talking from a factual standpoint in that case and telling a story. But, if you're able to put those things into a context where you can create music or have an outlet for it, those are good practices, right? That's, when you're looking at taking negative things and turning them into something positive. I mean, they always say you should talk to try to get some out or talk to someone. So a lot of times my content comes from real life situations, thinking about things that we've actually been to, maybe turning them into a story or putting some twists on them so they can sound relevant. Or it could be something that may trigger a certain emotion in me today that I see that I don't like or something that I may want to stand up for. But I think that's the difference, definitely with me, a lot of these artists today, in terms of the content, where it comes from, how it's delivered, and the way I look at things. Mm-hmm.
In terms of legacy, that's something we talk about a lot. And guys, I have to preface this because actually me and Mr. Dallas are first cousins. And from the time I was young, I was probably 7 years old. This was a guy that taught me how to play the game of chess. Now, he never admit this, but now he can't handle me. But the gist of the story is from him, I learned the importance of strategy. And that's something we talk about all the time. What's one strategy you're employing now to really reach back in the community and be a bright spot to some of these young men?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Well, there's several strategies that I'm employing right now to give back to the community, not only through work, but also through church. At church, we're part of an outreach society that donates meals. People come to the church and they collect meals. Also at work, I'm part of the volunteer association that goes out to communities and donates school supplies. We have events where we give away pencils, rulers, calculators, things that the children need. And also, I think just the person, the way you carry yourself as a character, just to be an example of the people that you interact with, and you want to treat people the way that you like to be treated, right? You want to be a shining example for those that you interact with, and always let them know that there's always hope on the other side. So I think there's a couple ways that you can give back, not only through church, through some of the things that I'm doing now, through work, but also just in general, right? As a person.
Well, Ralph, I want to thank you for taking the time out to really just come on this platform and bless us with your presence. Maybe we'll come back for a part two to really dig down. I'm sorry, my words are stumbling on me, but to dig deep down into some more things that God has blessed you to experience and to be on the other side where, whether or not people know it, you're a living testimony. But before we get out of here,
Brother
Ralph,
Anthony,
you have
man,
any closing thoughts that you would like to share?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me. I definitely appreciate it. But no, you're absolutely right. I would love to come back, for a second time and dig a little bit deeper and share some more moments, intimate moments, or any kind of moments that you like to share, and just open up and talk to the kids out there to let them know that there's definitely a lot of opportunity out there. One of the things I'm gonna before we leave that I just want to share is, I went to college later in life, and I went to college when I was 24. But when I did go to college, I didn't even try, really, and I had straight A's, right? I was on the dean's list, and I never knew that I had that type of energy inside of me, but I never tried, right? Education was always something that we kind of strayed away from when we were younger, because we were skipping school when we were younger and doing other things. But I applied myself as I got older, and I said, let me go and try this. And I went and tried it, and I ended up with straight A's. So at that point is when I knew that these things are attainable. And that kind of gave me momentum. That definitely gave me the determination that I needed once I saw that I was capable of doing these kind of things, and kind of inspired me on to the next point, where then you have a vision board, you have a plan. You definitely want to have a plan. I know it sounds easier than done, but a lot of times it really is that simple. We need to simplify some things in life and write some things down. Write some things down and actually follow them through. And you can lead yourself to the finish line. But I'll definitely come back and we'll share some more stories, man. I want to thank you for having me. Hey, tell everybody I said peace, man.
Will do. But Ralph,